Well, g'day, curd nerds. G'day, curd nerds. Well, g'day, curd nerds. Well, g'day, curd nerds. Well, g'day, curd nerds. Well, g'day, curd nerds. No sound. That'll work. There we go. Bad fingers. Yes. G'day, curd nerds. Welcome to episode 104 of Ask the Cheeseman. All good. So, got quite a few people on the chat. I'm pleasantly surprised. I wasn't too sure how many people would be on a Saturday morning, but here we are. Here we all are. Fantastic. So, some shout outs to the first person on the chat, FC260, Stephen, Jackson, George, Justin, Nico, Thomas. Doggies, get down. Goodness me. It's chaos here. What do I go up to? I think I said George. Justin, Nico, Thomas, Tara, Jordan, different Jordan, Scott, John, Larry, Deep South Texas, Infinite Wonders, Andrew, and who else we got? I don't want to go any further. Oh, there we are. Jeffrey, I think. Oh, Sabrina. And Gil Hermy. I think that's how you say it. Oh, no, my name is Adriel. Oh, okay. Hello, how are you all? Fantastic to see you all here. Absolutely wonderful. Now, just some housekeeping on what's going on in the world of cheese, or my world of cheese anyway, is that we've got one new patron this week. Thank you very much to Mary Ann for your patronage. Absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much. And thanks to all the other patrons and YouTube members who support the show and the channel financially. That gives Kim and I some incentive to keep going, of course, which is very good. Cheeses this week, I am going to do let me just report back to my notes, a spicy melty cheese using the triple pepper jack and some other cheese I've got lurking in the fridge, and some sodium citrate. I'm going to process that down to some very melty cheese, which will be good fun. Kim's been on at me for that one, which, yes, it should be fairly tasty and very spicy too. I've got 4 other cheeses planned this weekend. I've got 20 litres of milk and 2 litres of cream, all unhomogenised from Inglenook Dairy. Just got that the other day, sitting in the kitchen fridge. So the cheeses I'm going to make is, I don't know how to pronounce this, but Shiz, spelled S-C-H-I-Z. Shiz? No, maybe. And then another soft cheese called Crescenza, which is an Italian cheese. I'm also going to remake Stilton, so I'm going to remake my Stilton video from years back because I've had many requests on an updated version of that. Plus, I had a request for stabilized paste bloomy rind. So it's going to be a camembert sort of variety, but it won't be super runny in the middle. It'll take longer to age. So I'm going to make that, and you'll see the differences in that and the normal recipe for camembert that I'll point out to you as we go along. So that's what's coming up. It's all going to be very good. There's our first super chat. Thank you very much, Jordan. Appreciate it. We'll get rid of that. You should get a gold star in a minute, I'm hoping. Is that going to come up? Maybe. Anyway, you got a question. There's your gold star. No, that way. There it is. Very good. Thank you very much, Jordan. Your question is, I got fresh raw goat's milk this morning, and I'm planning to make your bloomy goat blue. Since this recipe is room temperature cheese and at room temperature to 4 to 6 days, should I pasteurize it or will it be okay? Yeah, it's fairly low temperature cheese, as in you don't cook it very high either. So it's up to you. Um, in that case, I think I would pasteurize it. Um, but excuse me, got some beard hair going on there. Look, I don't want to say yes or no. I'll let you make that decision. Maybe you could pasteurize half the milk and make half with and half without. See what happens. But if you trust the source of the milk and it's very, very fresh, that I don't think you'll have any trouble. But don't take me to court for that one. Anyway, I hope that helps, Jordan. But yeah. All right. So let's get into some of the other questions. Rocky says, "Hello, Gavin. I made your cheddar. Turned out dry and crumbly. Possible causes. Taste test was okay, but not as good as your other cheeses. I didn't know you tasted my other cheeses. Obviously, the ones that you've made. Ah, um, right, dry and crumbly. Couple of causes for that. Not enough salt. It's got to be about 2.7% per weight of curd. So check that out. Not enough salt causes too much acidity, which causes dryness. Too much rennet, maybe, could be a possible cause. Not so much as the salt. Stirring the curds too long or cheddaring too long, which is very difficult because it's kind of like a standard recipe. Very hard to tell otherwise. So a lot of moisture might have gone out during the cheddaring process. Depends on how hot it was when you made it. There's some possible causes that I can think of. Andrew says, "How many years have you been making cheese?" Well, I started making cheese in 2009 was the first cheese I made, and it was Feta. And it was during a cheese making class that I did at a local community centre. Um, so that was good fun. And since then, so it's been what, 10 years now that I've been making cheese. Not an eternity, but only took up the hobby recently in the scheme of things. But yeah, you can imagine after those 10 years how much experience you would gain if you make a cheese, every second week. You certainly learn by your own mistakes, which is good. Um, uh, John's talking about breweries and stuff. Lewis, good night from Brazil. G'day, Lewis. Who else? Um, John's from Central Oregon. Lovely to know. Gabriel says, "Hello, Gavin. I'm doing queso minas right now, which is a Brazilian cheese, if I remember rightly, which is fantastic. I'd love the recipe if you have it in English, Gabriel. And you can, if you go to the About tab of the YouTube channel, if you're willing to share, of course, because it'll be excellent if I could actually make queso minas. That would be really good." Matthew says, "Gavin, having problems with the 10% brine solution for the feta. Have made 4 batches now for the same feta. Follow the recipe exactly. Check pH. It is 5%, but the feta keeps turning slimy. Any ideas?" Yeah, so with the brine solution, hopefully you've added calcium chloride to balance the calcium ion exchange, which causes it to go funny. Um, there's also another cause that could be the acidity. Well, you said you've checked the pH, so I'm not sure what's going on there. Why is the super chat thing not working? I've had a blowout. What's going on? The lamp's not working. Anyway, Scott has given us a super chat. Yeah, but I think they're the main causes. And thank you very much, Scott, for your kind donation up there. I think the main causes, Matthew, you're going to have to check, make sure that you do add calcium chloride, because that my initial lessons were that, yeah, that was half the problem. So a little bit of calcium chloride, make sure a little bit of vinegar, make sure the pH is about 5, maybe a little bit lower. I would say 4.5, and then that it shouldn't go slimy. But that's the only reasons it should go slimy is not having those things there. And I cannot get. I've lost Wi-Fi. I can't turn. My Wi-Fi network's gone down halfway through, so I can't get the light to work. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Scott says, and thank you for your kind donation of $10. Love your channel. My wife makes fun of me for watching hours of cheese making videos. Lol. We live in an apartment and don't really have a cheese cave. What cheeses would you suggest? Well, Scott, thank you very much for that. Kim has put down a link there down the bottom with the beginner's cheese list with no cheese cave. So a whole bunch of cheeses that you can make without having a cheese cave. You can use a normal kitchen fridge, which is absolutely fantastic. Okay, so next question. Nico says, Gavin, have you tried Cougar Gold from Washington State University Creamery? No, they don't export it as far as I know to Australia. If they do, I haven't found it yet, unfortunately. But yeah, it sounds very interesting. What sort of cheese is it, Nico? Thomas says, I want to start making cheese. Can you recommend a cheese that's easy to make? Yeah, Thomas, look, I think that link that Kim put up would be a big help. So, look, start off with ricotta, not whey ricotta, whole milk ricotta, sometimes called sweet ricotta. So you could check that out. And the second one I'd try would be paneer, and it's fairly bland sort of cheese, but give that a go. Or you could wait for this shiz or shits recipe that I'm making, which is very, very simple. It's just going to be milk, rennet. I think that's about it. Not even a starter culture. It's a very soft cheese that'll be simple to make. I don't know maturation. I think you eat it the same day, so it's a soft cheese. So that will be a good one to try as well. Halloumi's a good one to try if you want to try using rennet only. There's quite a few. Feta is always a good one to start with if you can get the brine right. But look, if you can't, just use my normal 18% brine solution if you have issues with the 10% one. But yeah, there's some suggestions anyway, Thomas. John says, questions in capitals so Gavin can see them easier. Yeah, it's not a bad suggestion, but I think everybody will start typing in capitals. It's like they're yelling at me. But yeah, thanks, John. Vaga Dagger Ding Dong says, hey Gavin, have you ever made or eat Fenugreek seed cheese? No, I haven't, and I haven't used it at all. And any of my cheeses, I know it's a very good spicy cheese, but yeah, it's very nice. Aslam says, cream cheese, how to make, which, yes, I got lots of cream cheese recipes. Kim, if you can pop up a link to one of my many cream cheese recipes, I think the original one's probably the best, for Aslam, and he'll be able to see the video on that one. Okay, Banal says, hey, Mr. Gavin, have you ever tried Gruyere cheese? I think that's how you pronounce it. It's like Swedish Gruyere. No, I haven't. Sounds interesting. I'll see if I can find a recipe for it. The styles of cheeses are very similar throughout Europe. There's only really a few. Well, I'm not going to say a few. I would say a dozen, maybe 2 dozen unique cheeses that aren't replicated anywhere else. Everything after that is really repetition, but a small twist. Maybe the environment's got some sort of factors to the flavour of the cheese and all that. I know I'm going out there on a limb, but I do think that, you look at Jarlsberg, for instance, which is a Norwegian cheese that uses propionic Shimani. It's very similar to Emmentaler when you taste it. But there are slight variations, of course. So, and then you look at say Leerdama for Dutch cheese, very similar to Jarlsberg and Emmentaler or any sort of Swiss cheese. So there are variations in the theme. You look at, for instance, Brie and Camembert. It's only the size that's the difference, and then the Brie tends to be a little bit drier, and the Camembert a bit runnier because when it's made with raw milk, which is really good. Um, yeah, so that's good. And we've got another super chat, fantastic, and this one's from Stephen. Thank you, Stephen. Um, Stephen says, and thank you for your kind donation of £9. That's like $100 Australian. Well, yeah, maybe not, but yeah, close enough. Your question is, what cheeses can be made with tartaric acid other than mozzarella? Tartaric acid is slightly more acidic than citric acid, and it is used mainly to make mascarpone, which is cream, and you add tartaric acid, and it goes thicker, and it's used in dishes like tiramisu, which is very popular in the UK, where I dare say you're coming from, seeing you use pound sterling. Um, so yeah, so mascarpone for tiramisu, very very nice. That's the main cheese that I've seen used with tartaric acid. So I hope that helps, Stephen. And Kim, if you can put the link to the recipe that I put down there for tartaric acid, and it looks like Nicola, who has donated via PayPal, and I can't see your question, Nicola. If you can pop it up on the screen in the chat, that would be absolutely fantastic. I can't see that in the chat. And there is also the option. Oh, no, okay, let me see. No question, just an appreciation at high. I had no idea that there was a live stream today. I think you said that, Nicola. But yeah, thank you so much for that. And that was donated via Streamlabs, which kind of goes to PayPal, and then it goes as a donation, which is cool. That's for countries that don't have super chat. But thank you very much, Nicola. Here I am looking at the screen. I'm looking at the replay, which is about 20 seconds behind on the other screen. I look like a dork. But anyway, um, where are we? I am looking for the next question. Sorry. Thomas says, thanks. Romina, I think that's how you say it. Do I like Mexican cheese? Yes, indeed. I've made quite a few Mexican cheeses, Romina. Chihuahua, uh, Oaxaca. What's another Mexican cheese I made? Cotia. So I think there's three that I can remember anyway. But yeah, very nice. Um, I'm amazed at the way that Mexicans have adapted some of the Spanish recipes that they brought over and made them their own. I think they're absolutely fantastic. Um, where are we? Cougar ships internationally. Oh, we're talking. Cougar Gold ships internationally. It's a white cheddar in a can. You can order it from the WSU. Creamy. Originally, the creamery started to be an experiment on different ways to package cheese. Cheese in a can, my goodness. I haven't seen cheese in a can for years, and I'm old. So I think when I was a little kid, besides and you probably heard this story before, besides the crappy um, craft, what do they call it? Processed cheddar cheese, they used to call it. It was in a blue box, and it was shelf stable. It was wrapped in silver foil, and yeah, it was processed cheese. Uh, I don't think even these days they can call it cheddar cheese because it's not. I don't think it is at all. Anyway, we used to have this other cheese in a can. I can't remember what it was called. I dare say it wasn't Cougar Gold, but anyway, yeah, very nice. Thomas says, I don't want to make cheese anymore. I don't give Edam. Nice, good joke. Thanks, mate. John Lord says fenugreek seeds, females contraceptives, males pro-contraceptive. Okay. I didn't realise they had those properties. Yogo, I think that's how you pronounce it. What do you think about Brazilian cheeses? Well, to be truthful, Yogo, I've never tasted a Brazilian cheese because I've never been to Brazil. Um, and a lot of those cheeses are made from raw milk, which is very cool. And they have their own traditional sort of recipes and their own sort of starter cultures that are given to the farmers and all that sort of stuff. And the only information I've got is from watching Cheese Slices by Will Studd when he went to visit Brazil. That's the only knowledge I have of Brazilian cheeses. I want to try Queso Minas because I think that's probably the most famous one that we know about outside of Brazil, and I know that they don't ship it. They can't import it in Australia because it's a raw milk cheese. But I'd like to try my own version, maybe using unpasteurized and try and figure out what the culture is. But it's a fairly simple cheese to make, but I think I'd love to give it a go. Wilma Charlie, lovely to see you here. Could I make wine-infused cheese, but boiling off the alcohol in the wine first, so hopefully not interfering with the culture and the curds apart from flavouring and colour change? Yeah, that would work. Just a really light simmer is all you need to boil off alcohol. It readily evaporates if you look at anything like methylated spirits, which is pure ethanol, same thing. So just slight simmer. I'd only simmer for 5 minutes tops, let it cool down, and then use it for soaking your curds probably. I just use normal wine when I make drunken cow or drunken goat cheese. I just put it straight in the wine, let it do its thing. If it absorbs alcohol, that's fine. And it doesn't muck up any of the cultures. I've had very successful cheeses making those wine-infused cheeses. No problems at all. Thanks to Kim for all the links she's putting up. I really do appreciate it, which is great. She's doing some great stuff there. Lewis says, hey, Gavin, does it really make a difference if you mature a cheese in a wooden board or on a wooden board? Have you tried it? Yes. So when I make kefili, I find that it goes too mouldy when you put it in a ripening box. So I do put it on a pine board and then I turn it. I've got a couple of pine boards that I use specifically for some of the natural some of the natural rind cheeses that I make. So I will place them on the wooden board and let the moisture get absorbed into that. They don't go funky or anything like that. It's just, kefili's really quick. It's only 3 weeks, so if it does get any mold on it, I just wipe it off. So it's all cool. So that's very good. So yeah, Yoga. Oh no, where are we? Thanks, Lewis, for that question. Yoga says, can I use lemon or vinegar to get the curds off the milk, or do I really need some special acid? No, if you're making something as simple as paneer or whole milk ricotta, Yoga, you can make a very, very rudimentary cheese. Texture will be very gritty. Rarely will it be smooth. So yeah, you can use that. Really, cheesemakers have been using rennet, which is from the lining of the fourth stomach of a ruminant, whether that be a calf, kid, or piglet, and they've been using that for thousands of years. Certainly a couple of millennia before the Christian era, that's for sure, that they've been using those stomachs and using the rennet enzyme, which is called chymosin, and just soaking the rennet bag, a salted skin of the stomach, into the milk and letting it coagulate that way. There's nothing unnatural about using rennet whatsoever, and I've been really getting some crazy comments on one of my videos recently. What was it? Oh, the American cheese one. If you want to see YouTube gone crazy, then all you have to do is go and check out the comments section for the American cheese. It just is, some of it is just disgusting. The ignorance of some people is just ridiculous. Anyway, I will move along. Alex says, "Hey Gavin, what would you say are the easiest slash quickest hard cheeses to make?" Um, Easiest. Romano. So any type of Romano, it's a very hard cheese. Very simple to make. Excuse me. Sorry. Very simple to make. It doesn't involve too much at all. It's just all in the affinage, just keeping the mold off it. And Romano tastes absolutely amazing. Another really simple hard cheese is Caerphilly, and that matures in 3 weeks. Whereas Romano, I wouldn't touch it unless you've aged it for a minimum of say 10 months. So yeah, so do that. Um, so there's two suggestions that are easiest and quickest, as in the process. Even Parmesan's fairly easy to make as well, but you've got a long 12-month maturation period, really minimum for the size wheel that we make, about a kilogram of cheese. John says, "Well, you're going to smoke some cheese." I think you asked this on Wednesday, John. Might have been you. And what kind will I smoke? Look, I think Kim's trying to prompt me to get a smoking kit and probably buy it for me on eBay anyway. Hint, hint. So I think, look, I've got some double Gloucester, which is a cheddar style cheese that has been sitting in the cheese cave for, nearly 2 years. And it'll be very interesting to see what that turns out like. I'll taste a little bit before we smoke it. But I think that would be a good start. Any cheddary sort of cheese, or even Dutch sort of cheese, Gouda or Gouda, lends itself to being smoked, and I've tasted real smoked Gouda, and it is very, very nice. Um, so yeah, so that's the plan anyway, and I'll get to it soon. We've got a lot going on in our lives, but we'll get there. Nicola said that it's fine. There was no question. Thanks, Nicola. I managed to read the tiny print on the replay. Um, thank you very much. Kim, thanks for the link to the mascarpone. My name is Maria. Oh, and I love cheese. Oh, okay. I won't call you Gilly Hermes anymore. Thanks, Marina. Um, Lovely to have you on board the chat. Zetram says, "Love your videos. Super relaxing." Thank you, Zetram. Appreciate it. XPFC Wintergreen, great to see you here on Friday your time, Saturday my time. Andrew, have I made cheese that is like Kraft Imperial cheese in a red plastic tub? Very sharp cheese. It's a processed cheese. No, I haven't. But that would be interesting. Kraft Imperial. I haven't seen that ever. Not that I'm promoting the craft style of cheese making, of course, but everything's an experience. Kraft Imperial cheese. I'll check. See what the heck it is. Okay. John says, "Kraft cheese, great export item, as we dislike it and others eat it instead." Yeah, nice suggestion. Andrea says, "Hi, just got back from a talk Benjamin Wolf was giving in San Francisco, and the topic was microbiology of surface ripened cheeses. I wonder if you've ever had any issues with missing geo rind development." Yeah, so Andrea, the very first the very first camembert that I made, I did not add any geotrichum at all. And I found that the Penicillium candidum by itself promoted skin slip, and one of the cheeses that I was making, the white bloomy rind, came off as I turned it. It stuck to the bottom of the mat, whereas the other 3 out of the 4 did not. And since then, I've been using Geotrichum candidum all the time, and it prevents skin slip. It really does work quite well, and gives it a little bit of a mushroomy flavour, which is nice. I like it. Yoga says, "Thank you for answering my questions. This kind of interaction is so nice." Yeah, I appreciate it. I like it. Infinite Wonders, don't let the negative comments affect you, Gav. You have some great work. Yeah, I know. It doesn't get me down. I just think it's just YouTube gone crazy on some of those more, say, popular cheese making videos. If cheese making videos can be a popular thing, another crazy one to look at. I just don't even look at the comments anymore, and that's the quick mozzarella. And it's just once again YouTube gone crazy, but I don't care. Jeremiah says Cougar Gold, other than APO, DPO, FPO addresses and US territories, we do not ship internationally. Oh, okay. So they don't ship it internationally, so I won't be able to get some. Oh, well, that's a pity. Okay. Kim's put up the link to making Vicino Romano cheese. Thanks, Kim. JJ says, how do you get to know how to make so many cheeses? Well, JJ, you know what? You make them. You make them every fortnight when you've got a chance because it's a passion, it's a hobby, and it's kind of, like I said, it's turned into a business for us, for Kim and I, because we ship cheese making kits, supplies, and equipment worldwide from Little Green Workshops, as you probably saw in the intro video. Yeah, it's kind of just grown and evolved, and I really enjoy doing this sort of style of video, the Ask the Cheeseman, to help out newbie cheesemakers make cheese. It's very good fun. Nom Camber, I think that's how you say it. Can I use pasteurized milk to make any cheeses? Indeed, you can. Pasteurization is not the issue. It's when you have the milk that's been homogenized as well. Homogenization tends to break up the fat globules in cow's milk anyway. And the heat treatment from pasteurization, depending on the type of pasteurization, can destroy the structure of the milk as well, the calcium structure. So it depends on the type of pasteurization. If you have milk that is ultra pasteurized, you will find that you will not be able to set a curd at all. Doesn't matter what you do. You can make ricotta out of it, but that is about, and maybe paneer, but that's about it. You will not be able to set a curd using ultra pasteurized or ultra heat treated or UHT milk. So don't even attempt it. If it's normal, if it just says pasteurized on the carton of milk and homogenized, then make sure that you've added calcium chloride. In fact, I add calcium chloride to all my milk, except for raw cow's milk, because it does really help add back soluble calcium into the milk so that the rennet can do its job and create the casein structure that makes the milk set. So, yes, you can use pasteurized milk. It's just got to be normal pasteurized. Don't forget to add calcium chloride. And that's the same amount of calcium chloride as you would add the same amount of rennet if you're using liquid rennet. Okay, Glenn says, hi, Gavin. In the process of making Gruyere, 1 month old, how much mould on the surface is acceptable on the surface? A few spots appearing, been washing salt brine every few days. Look, my Gruyere ended up having brown mould all over it. So there was no problem per se, and you just keep that surface washed. And don't let any moisture from the maturation box drip down on it, or it will get red mold on it because it's too moist. But yeah, washing it with a simple brine solution kind of helps dry the rind out as well in between washings. A little bit of mold will not hurt it at all. In fact, a little bit of mold on most cheeses won't hurt them unless it's black mold, and black mold's not good because if it takes root into your cheese, there are toxins within that mold that will make you sick. So yeah, don't. John says, can always use hickory smoke liquid and wipe onto the cheese rind and guarantee to go through the entire cheese. Actually, John, I made a video and it was using liquid smoke and it was hickory flavour. And I've still got some of my cheese drawer. and I actually added it into the milk of, I think I made a gouda, and yeah, it was really nice. Subtle, smoky flavour. Washing the rind with it would be pretty good. That would be a good experiment, so I could try that as well. Yeah. So Thomas says, have you visited any cheese factories? Would be cool if you can make a video of the factory, unless you have, and I haven't seen it. No, I haven't made any visits to cheese factories. Thomas, that would be good. Kim and I were thinking of visiting some artisan cheesemakers with their permission, of course, and filming what they do. That would be very interesting. So yeah, along the lines of cheese slices. I don't want to steal Will Stud's thunder or anything like that, but yeah, he does a good job. If you do want to see people going to cheese factories, then go and check out Will Stud's set of videos, cheese slices. I think he's up to season 8 or something now, which is remarkable. Really good watch and good entertainment value as well. I'm not going to say he's funny. He's just funny in a Will Stud sort of way. As in, yeah, I thought it was anyway. Elizabeth says, greetings from Alaska, Gavin. Love your channel. Thank you, Elizabeth. Appreciate it. Alex says, what are the limitations of goat's milk when making cheese? Okay, yep, there are some. If you're using goat's milk, whether it be raw or pasteurized, it doesn't really matter. You really do have to add some calcium chloride to it to get to get it to set properly. You really do. If you don't, you tend to get a sloppy curd set. It depends on the lactation. It depends on the stage of lactation of the animal. If it's closer to the start of lactation, like it's just had a kid, then you'll find that you probably don't need to add calcium chloride. But later on in the lactation cycle, you'll find that the milk starts to lose protein, and you will need to add back calcium chloride into the milk to get the curd to set. That's the only thing. And also use just a 5% more rennet than you would with cow's milk, and you'll find that it sets fairly well. Vern says, Vern's got a funny somewhere. Oh, missed it. Where is it? The Surgeon General has determined smoking cheese is hazardous to your health. Indeed, don't try and smoke cheese, just cold smoke it, if that makes sense. Jordan says, I tried the triple cream brie from Germany with wild mushrooms, porcini, and chanterelle, I think. It was awesome. Do you think you might be able to make that? I'd have to powder the mushrooms, especially in a triple cream brie, which I do have a recipe, or maybe it's a double cream. I'm not sure. Mushroom, bloomy rind. Might be something I experiment on. Anyway, we'll see what happens. But thanks, great suggestion. JJ says, have you heard of cougar cheese? I think we've already done this. It's like Groundhog Day. Sorry, JJ. There was a whole conversation about it in the chat at the start of the show. Glenn says, brine your camembert, don't salt it. No skin slip ever since I did that. Now, that is a good suggestion. Like I said, I'm doing some stabilised paste bloomy rinds over the next couple of days. And I do have some good brine. That would be very interesting. I might give that a go. Because hand salting is a pain. It really is, because you don't know if you got complete coverage of the cheese and it's absorbed enough salt. So, yeah, very hard to determine that. Andrea says, thanks for addressing my question. You're welcome, Andrea. Stephen says, I've been trying to make a lactic cheese similar to Saint Yvel. A brand no longer available, but I can't get the acidity flavour right, I suppose. Any ideas? Stephen, no, unfortunately not, because I've never tried Saint Yvel. And I don't know what it's supposed to taste like. No idea at all. I don't know if your acidity's too strong or too light. If you don't think it's too... If the acidity's not sharp enough, let it ripen longer. If the acidity's too sharp, let the milk ripen less. There's a hint. It's just some suggestions anyway. Kim said, a missed question. JJ says, do you only make cheese or do you do other things? Do I have hobbies like a job, work, clubs? That's a very good question. And thanks, Kim. Yes, if Kim misses it, pop it on the feed again. Yeah, no problems. Do I have hobbies? Cheese making is my number one hobby. I actually recently started to make some mead. So I've got some mead on the go. Mead is honey wine. I got that bubbling away in the kitchen. I made a video, the starting of it. I haven't made the end because it's not finished yet. It takes like 2-3 months to finish. Fermenting and settle down can take up to a year. So it better be bloody good, I tell you. I've been waiting all this time. Other hobbies, I like playing real-time strategy games on my computer. Things like Civilization 6, Dawn of Man, Company of Heroes. There's some games I like playing. I also, call me weird, like editing videos. I seem to do a lot of that, seeing I have a YouTube channel. And clubs, no, I don't belong to any clubs, just the Cheese Club, with all you people. And do I work? Yes, indeed I do work. Someone's got to put a roof over the head. Kim and I work together. We have our own business called Little Green Workshops, which pays the bills when people buy stuff, cheese, soap, candles, bath bomb supplies, and brewing supplies. We ship at least the cheese stuff all over the world anyway. The rest of the stuff, due to having some stuff you can't send an aircraft like fragrance oil and essential oils, we can't send any of those kits and stuff overseas, unfortunately. But yeah, certainly the cheese stuff we send all over the world, which is fantastic. Nicola is having a chat with Nom Camber. All good. Infant Wonders says, is black mold a major occurrence in Australia and Australian cheeses? Not to my knowledge. I think it's all over the world. I actually find people send me photos all the time to try and diagnose their cheese issues. And occasionally I see cheeses with black mold on them. And you look at the pattern on the cheese and it looks like a handprint. So can I just issue this safety warning for all cheesemakers out there? Wash your hands before you handle your cheese. Sounds like common sense, not so common, because I've received, I don't know, in the last 6 months, probably 3 or 4 photographs with black mold on it that looks like a handprint. So wash your hands before you handle the cheese. And if you don't think you've washed them properly, then spray them with white vinegar, and it will kill any molds that are on your fingertips or under your fingernails or what have you. That's where most of the black mold comes from. It's from humans handling the cheese. Just thought I'd put that out there. Okay, top RPDR video says, Gavin, I tried to make gorgonzola cheese. Everything seems to go smoothly for about a couple of weeks. Green and white molds grew on the rind, decided to clean them off with salt. The cheese became very sweaty. When I came back after a week of vacation, the cheese was full of bacterial infections. Should I not have cleaned the molds out? Indeed, you should not have. Should have left it to grow like it should, because all those blue cheeses, when you see them packaged and you just see the white bit with the blue in the middle, they have had all that mold scraped off them. And in fact, a typical scraping video, if you want to go and have a look, is the blue gouda or chowder that I made. It's hilarious. It's like 5 minutes of scraping off mold, just to make the cheese nice and clean, and or it could have been the farmhouse cheddar blue. One of those two videos, I'm not sure, but everybody complained about the amount of scraping. But Yeah, you don't scrape the mold off until it's finished, unless it goes really moist. Um, like my petite blue video. Oh no, I scrape the mold off of those ones too, because I find the mold's really strong. But the thing is, with the blue molds and white molds that grow on blue cheeses, they insulate or protect the cheese rind from being infected by other molds like red bacteria, Brevibacterium linens, which will give it a completely different flavour. Leave the mold on there. When you pierce it, you'll find that the mold grows into the cheese because of the oxygen that's available. So that's what you want to do. Hope that helps. Um, Kim's put up the link for hickory smoked Gouda, which is great. Thank you. I mean salty water, sweaty salty water. Oh, okay. Well, hopefully I've answered that anyway. Is It could be a joke. I'm not sure. Kazzy, what cheese would make a good president? Don't know. Wilma Charlie says, thank you for answering our questions. I had the same condition as Ben. It was 3 years of constant tests, but he will get better. Keep up the good work. Thanks very much. John says, if you ever get a chance visiting a cheese warehouse, one in Wisconsin, walk in, eyes dilate, smells milk, toffee, caramel, honey, sweet butter, sweet cream, like walking around in heaven. That would be good fun. I have visited one cheese factory, but it was very commercialised, and I didn't see a human handling cheese whatsoever during the process. Everything was done by machines, so really wasn't, you know, the cheeses we make, made with love, made with our hands, washed hands. Um, but when you see some of those industrial factories, the one I went to was in Warrnambool in southern Victoria, and it was fully automated. There was nobody touching anything. So I suppose you don't want humans touching your cheese unless you're making it yourself. So Thomas says, can you smoke blue cheese? But only the cannabis strain, not actual the cheese. I suppose you can smoke any sort of cheese except maybe any runny, and you can even smoke pasta filata cheeses. So like mozzarella, scamorza, provolone, you can even smoke. So yeah. Paris Finn says, what's the ooziest cheese I've made? Well, I have to admit, it's only been recently, and that was the American cheese, which people tell me isn't American cheese, but um, the cheese that I made with one simple ingredient, which was the sodium citrate. That's the runniest cheese I've ever made because I had to it was so runny, I had to put it into molds to firm up and go into that style of cheese. It's cool. David says, I've got an addiction to cheddar cheese. It's only mild, though. Lucky it's not extra sharp. Kazzy says, Thomas, don't knock it until you try it. Not sure what that's in relation to, but I'm not worried. Where are we? David says, my wife was preparing lunch today when she asked, honey, where's the cheese grater? I replied, some would say France, other would say England, depends on your personal preference. Lol. Jim says, Gavin, Kim said that she would be training your offspring to moderate this live stream. Oh, my offspring. Oh, Ben, yes. Is he working under her name or is that really Kim moderating today? Yes, it is Kim moderating today. It is her name. When you see Ben Weber as moderator, then that will be Ben Weber. He will be under training on Wednesday. That's his first day under training under Kim's tutelage of moderating. So yeah, be gentle with him on Wednesday if you turn up. Colleen says, I'm new. What would be a good cheese like Feta for a beginner? Well, you kind of answered your own question there, Colleen. Feta is a good cheese for beginners. Although you have to make a brine solution, which can be tricky sometimes, but just follow my brine instructions. I think if you have a look at the goat's milk Feta cheese video that I made, there is a 10% brine solution recipe there as well. But yeah, try your hand at, ricotta, paneer, halloumi, good suggestions. Even queso fresco is a good one if you're going to start using starter cultures and rennet. You can eat that in the same day. It's a very good cheese. So there's some suggestions. David says, why did the Greek woman stop eating cheese? Because she was getting feta and feta. Very funny. Thank you, David, for your contribution to the chat. JJ says, that's cool. Thanks for asking my question. No problems, JJ. Kim stated, yes, it is Kim. All good. Scott Powers says, Limburger. Indeed, there is a video for Limburger. And if Kim's got time, pop in the link for the Limburger video, which wasn't as stinky as I thought it would be. So I don't know what all the fuss is about. I think that I've made other washed rind cheeses using Brevibacterial linens that stink far worse than that. In fact, Brick was fairly stinky, as was Munster was another one. The European version of Munster, anyway, was very, very stinky. So that was very interesting. So if you can find the link to Limburger, Kim, can you pop that up, please, darling? Joseph says, hi, Gavin. I'm from Idaho, USA. I love watching your videos. Thank you for making them. My pleasure, Joseph. I hope you enjoy. Well, you do. You said you love watching them, so that's cool. Thanks, mate. Top RPDR video says, thanks for your advice. I'll try again for sure. No problems at all. JJ says, I'm from Idaho, USA. Your videos are very interesting. Good thing you make videos. Yes, indeed. I think you're talking about the editing part. Thomas says, how much cheese do I eat in a week? Not a lot. Not a lot at all. In fact, I can't even remember the last time I had some cheese. It's been that long ago. I didn't have any this week. Sometimes Kim and I will have a little supper platter where we'll share half a, say, camembert, or have a couple of really small pieces of cheese with some crackers after dinner. And that's nice. I really do like that. And mostly my own cheese, of course. But since I've been using sodium citrate to rebatch some cheeses that I thought would never see the light of day out of the normal fridge, because they're too crumbly or the taste isn't quite right or what have you. Since I've been making those sorts of processed sort of cheeses, Kim and Ben have been lapping them up. So they've been eating more cheese than I have, even though I do like a little bit of that runny cheese. Seeing it now, I know how to make it without any of the extra chemicals besides sodium lactate and a little bit of water. JJ says, I have heard you make an alcoholic drink from the whey that is left over from cheese making. In fact, there is. I know in Tasmania, they're now making gin out of whey. So there are many alcoholic drinks that you can make from whey, but I think gin is quite amazing how they're making it. I don't know what their recipe is. No idea. So, yeah, well, that's the one I know of. So I don't know if you can find the link for that, Kim. If you look for whey gin, it's it's a Tasmanian company. I'm not sure if you can Google it, but yeah, check it out. It's pretty interesting. John says, oh God, I had Limburger. Opened and immediately tossed it. Cows downwind mood and moved far away. Must have been pretty stinky. Scott, thanks, Kim. No, thank you, Scott. Stephen should try Stinking Bishop, a washed rind cheese washed with Perry, a pear cider. Ultra smelly, but fabulously tasty. We actually do have a local brewery, what is it, about 160 kilometres away? What's that, 100 miles? In a little town called Harcourt, between here and Bendigo. And they make a absolutely fantastic Perry cider. So that would be nice to try. Stinking Bishop. I don't know if Kim would like the stink in the cheese fridge, because it would stink. Stinky Bishop. I'm sure I can adapt a recipe to make one. I'll just make my own up and be done with it. But great suggestion. Thank you very much. Thomas says, cheesy gin doesn't sound very good. Apparently it's won awards and everything. So, yeah. So who would have thought? Anyway, I've got to the end of the chat, which is unusual for me. And maybe because there's not as many. Oh, there you go. Kim's found it. Sheep Way something. Let me just click on it and see what happens. Sheep Way Gin. Nick's Wine. That's the one. Sheep Way Gin from Tasmania. Very nice. So I've told. So, yeah. And there's all sorts of different flavours of gin. Gin's really becoming a bit of a big thing here in Australia. I don't quite know why. But, yeah. $99 a bottle. Must be good stuff, I tell you. Anyway. Last question of the day from Jeffrey. Or maybe two. All right. Jeffrey says, made your jalapeno cheddar and it came out delicious. I put half of it back in the cheese cave and blue mold went all the way through it. Is it safe? What did I do wrong? Probably nothing. It would have just been infected with blue mold from your cheese cave. It will be safe to eat. In fact, one of the most serendipitous discoveries that I made was I made a farmhouse cheddar, the stirred curd cheddar, where you don't cheddar it, you just stir it a lot. And I put it into I cut off half and we ate half for some reason, shared it with friends and stuff. And I wrapped it in cheese wrap, the wax paper stuff. And I left it there for about 2 months, something. Anyway, I went back to it, found that it was full of blue mold and all the cracks and fissures within the cheese had blue mold in it. Anyway, we tasted it. My goodness, blew my mind. Hence, the farmhouse cheddar blue recipe that I came up with. Just from that, I thought, well, why not? Give a stirred curd cheddar, a little bit of stuff, a bit of Penicillium Roquefort, see what happens. Turned out amazing. All right, 2 last questions. As Kim's giving me the wind up. Marianne, who announced at the start of the show, was a new patron. Thank you, Marianne. Gavin, I have been using fresh from my goat's milk to make cheese, and I've been cutting the rennet in half because it gets such a firm curd set. That's fantastic. You got to do what you got to do, Marianne. And it's good that you discovered that you're getting a very firm curd set in a quick amount of time. Charlie says, how long would you say it takes to reach the level of cheese-making knowledge to make basic cheeses, and how expensive is it? I really want to get into it, but I'm worried I don't have the space or money. Start off with very basic cheeses, and you'll get some basic cheese knowledge. Kim put a link earlier on in the chat. You may need to scroll up. And there's beginner's cheese without a cheese cave. Check that out. How expensive is it? Look, you can buy a kit for under $100, easy. And all the kits that we have, I've tried them and tested them, and they all work fine. In fact, I use most of the equipment from those kits for all my cheeses anyway, so that's all very cool. Livestock says, have I had a chance to make the charus? I think it's fair. So recipe I sent you, no, I haven't, unfortunately, but it's on the list. Thank you very much. See you later, everybody. I really do appreciate it, and I hope you enjoyed the Saturday morning, my time anyway, version of Ask the Cheeseman. It'll be on again next Wednesday. Same time, same channel. So if you want to get more cheesy knowledge and learn, hopefully I can answer your question. And that will be good. So rock up. That'll be all good. Thank you for everybody who super chatted and supported the show financially. I really appreciated that. And I'm sorry the curd nerd light didn't work. Like I said, I've lost the Wi-Fi in the house, and that's no good at all. No, I can't get to the lamp. So that's not good. I have to reboot the router, which is not a good thing. Anyway, if you want to support us further, you can buy supplies and equipment over at littlegreenworkshops.com.au. You can support us via YouTube memberships, where there's a join button below there somewhere on the video, or there's a link to Patreon where you can get perks for your membership as well. And don't forget, You can get T-shirts over at teespring.com. You'll see the merch shelf below in the video if it's available in your country. Thanks, Jim, for that super chat. Lovely to have your $5 donation. I appreciate it very much. Okay. And any more? No, that's it. Everybody, thank you very much. We will see you on Wednesday. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Where's my end thing? There we go.